Alright, Roger here. I actually got the heat on in here, but I opened up the garage doors to do this quick little video. 13 December 2019, couple of weeks left in 2019, and 3 weeks in a row I posted 3 videos every single weekend, so I think I'm actually doing pretty good right now. But anyway, let me crank the music down a little bit and start right up. I got the Nomad jacked up right now, just to crawl underneath here to show you what I've actually already done as far as this 4-link is concerned. Now, I gotta do the worm down here and grab, there it is. So, here we go. This is, I'm sure everybody knows this is a 4-link. This is some of that eBay stuff you can pick up. It's nice, big, thick-walled pipe. And did a little welding on this stuff, and don't know whether I'll ever do a triangulated 4-link again, because man, you gotta do some math, and I did not pay attention in high school with Mr. Pope in Vance County for the 4-link in the geometry class. Anyway, it's TIG welded. The axle you see here is actually Ford Explorer, probably 2002, 2003, before they went to independent suspension, and I shortened this thing a good 3.5 inches, whatever the difference is between the passenger and the driver's side axle in the rear. And there's a guy on the internet, you can actually watch him. He's who I watched 2 or 3 times and then figured it out. He's got some really great ideas on how to actually shorten the axles and get it straight. Now, of course, before I reassembled it, I got new bearings back here. I got new seals back here, put everything together. These are actually the stock Ford Explorer calipers. I went ahead and got new drilled and slotted ones, and I cut these back plates off right here so you can actually see in here. And these are actually painted gold with a spray can, and then I take 2K paint and put over top of them. 2K is actually 2 component paint, so you mix it 2 to 1, and it's some really, really tough, hard stuff. I've got this just strapped up here right now. This is my sway bar for the back, and that's basically in and ready to go. Pretty clean. This is also part of the eBay kit, the cross member right here. And you can see I got plenty of room for my exhaust system right here, which is laying on the workbench. I just picked that up. And then stuff like this right over here, if you can see that, that's where the spring purchase used to mount. I'm gonna cut all that stuff out of there with the saw and just clean it up a little bit and then paint it with a flat black underneath here. But basically, I got a rust-free 55 Nomad underneath here. Now, there's been a couple places where some panels like these floors have been welded in back here, but whoever did it back in Texas did a pretty good job on it, so I'm not complaining about that. Let me come back here. See, I've actually got all this stuff pretty well cleaned up back here. Looking pretty, ready to go. Now, I'm gonna wiggle more back here, and you see this big giant spare tire well? I'm gonna hack this thing out of here by basically cutting up along that line right there, and then take this whole thing out of here. And what I'm going to gain back there is a big giant space for storage of toolbox, jumper cables, OBT2 scan tools and stuff like that. But that's basically it in a nutshell. This is what the fine folks at the shipping company did. They actually strapped this thing down and yanked the crap out of it, but I don't think it's a big deal. I'll heat that thing up and beat it up with a hammer before I put the rear bumper back on. But anyway, that's the rear axle. It's in, it's ready to go. It's fully adjustable with coilovers over here, so that's kind of nice. And I think I've got my geometry, my back spacing welded or measured out pretty good. Now I'm going to slide my lamp up there. Going to get up. There's those exhaust systems I was telling you about. I'm going to use these solid ones as resonators, and these are for the Cadillac CST. They're going to be the quiet ones in the back. Again, the whole idea is to have the thing as quiet as possible. Air conditioning system. And what I want to show you here is what came out of the crash Plymouth is, let me get my door panel up here, is this is going to go back in here. I just got to reclock these, and then that's what all these parts are for right here. My buddy Gil swapped me all this stuff. This is a 2.5 inch for, I had 2.25 inch, and this is what I'll be using. And it's just basically putting it to pieces. That's what a fun project right there, because I actually enjoy doing exhaust system when it's nice and methodical without trying to hack it and put it together. Anyway, let me close this up right here, and I'm going to crawl underneath the car now. Show you this over here. And You know, there's a company in Titusville called, I think they're CCP or Eckler's, or they've all kind of merged together. But you see that cross member right there for my, what is it, 460LE I think I have in here? That right there is like $80. I don't have the time to fabricate it for $80. So I went ahead and bought that one. And then I got my cross members welded right there. You can see that. And then I got a bolt on there. Got two big giant metric bolts in there. And you can still adjust it back and forth a little bit. The drive shaft is in here. You don't want to know how much that costs because the guys over here in Germany, it's a damn good company, do good quality work. But man, that's $500 for the drive shaft. So that's what you got to pay. I think they're probably a little bit cheaper in the States. But look, the motor's already in. There's that the new oil pan I had to put on there for the cross member. You see the cross there on there? And all those components, tie rod ends, everything is brand spanking new on here. So the car, as far as the suspension and the steering, is good to go before I get it to the alignment shop. But everything down here is clean and nice. And that's about it. There's a 4-link from the front looking towards the back. Car is jacked up. And come up here. I'm still doing my wiring right now. Stepping on up. And here's what I did this morning. I've got the amplifier. This is the 4-channel, and there's my subwoofer mounted one over there. All the cables are already mounted, but I still have this thing loose right now because I've got the rear bench seat in for upholstery right now, and I forgot exactly there's a bar that goes underneath here, and it's when you flip it over, it actually flips upside down and holds it right here. So don't know exactly where to go, so I can mount back and forth 2 or 3 inches. So this thing actually already works and cuts on. Tomorrow I'll actually do all my my wiring towards the front. The cables are already laid, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the cabling right up in here and lay it flat, and then actually JB weld it with a clamp right here, and it's going to be flat looking like that. I did it on my last car, it looks pretty good. And then this you've already seen, the electric windows work up and down, and now I've already got my cables laid. Same thing on the other side, so it's just a matter of putting them in. Quickly, what I got right here, this is from a Mercedes. I think they're probably in the late 60s, early 70s. And my buddy gave me these, and these are actually going to be my armrest for a 55 Chevy. I just like the way they look. They actually look a little bit worn, which is what I'm looking for. I don't like the new stuff. Let me see if I can pick the right drawer here. Yeah, look at that. Got the first one. So what's cool about this one is when you mount them, this thing mounts here, and there's 2 different ones. Get the idea, and these things mount on here like this, or I think this is, yeah, that's it right there. So you got a nice little accent on the other side. And of course these will be mounted on top right here. That's the back one, but it kind of gives you the example. That's what they look like. They kind of match, same type of color. I also think it's kind of cool as the project progresses here, the stuff on top of the roof gets less and less. That means you're making progress on it. There's my list of stuff. So I'll add a little bit to that today. And then come out here and let me show you this thing I picked up in Moultrie last year, 2018, November. This is a 1951 Ford pickup truck. Let me drop this off real quick here so it doesn't fall over. This, believe it or not, is a Ford in a Ford, evident by the distributor being in the wrong spot. Now it's actually in the front right here. No, this is a super cool little truck that I picked up basically as is. The only thing I've done to it is I added the electric cutouts down here and put a super quiet exhaust system on it so you can enjoy the best of both worlds. This thing's got rack and pinion steering on it. It's a little, I think it's a 92 Thunderbird 302, it's a little small block, but man, that's plenty of power for a Liberty truck like this. And this thing just rolls and rolls and rolls. It's got air conditioning, as you can see on it, and super tight 4-wheel disc brakes. And the guy who built this lives in Alabama. He actually used also Ford Explorer rear end, is what he says he uses all the time. But clean little truck, and it's actually already sold, but got to do some transfer, got to change the lights on it. But anyway, it's a nice little truck, and I'll probably go get myself another one just like this. Starting to rain out here, so I'm gonna call this a day and put a couple of videos after this that I've been doing earlier today. Engine's in, rear end is in, mufflers are going this weekend, and it's a big mess right here because I've been soldering and laying cable all day long. It's just amazing how much wiring I actually have on the inside of this thing. But as you can see, most of my stuff is nicely tucked in these little tracks right here. So looking to get this thing and making progress on it. All right, so like I said, it's the 13th of December 2019, and I'm sure I'll be posting at least one more video before 2020 gets here. That's it. Take care. Bye bye. All right, 24 hours after I started this video, so little Van Morrison playing in the background on Spotify, and didn't get everything accomplished I wanted to on the weekend, but I did get the main thing knocked out, which is the speakers and the panel. The door panels are installed. It turned out pretty doggone good, if I say so myself. Anyway, there's the front, there's the actual base. The tweeter is actually going to run right up in here, and I just got it taped off right now. The tweeters will go way up here in the corner someplace. Not quite exactly sure where. And then the back one is just a coaxial normal old speaker, and that's actually going to be in the back, and then I'll put the little panel on just like I have over here. But turned out okay. I think I've showed you this already. The amplifiers are actually in, and there's the one for the subwoofer. And I'll come back over here and show you something that I do with JB Weld. There's this side over here. That's with the window up, and I love that big giant glass in here with no vent whatsoever. Vent window, delete. It's pretty cool. At least I think so myself. Look, so here's what I did with JB Weld. I actually take my speaker wires and I push them up in here, and they're actually glued up in here. I've actually did this with my other 55 Nomad a long time ago, and it works out pretty doggone good. So I just basically JB welded them in there, clamped them, and let them sit there over the weekend. All my cables are actually run now. Of course, you label everything. 1, 2 is for 4 channels, and then number 3 right here is for the subwoofer. So probably over the next couple of days when I get home in the evenings, it's just a matter of plugging all this stuff in and finding out where I'm going to put my speaker for my hands-free for the Bluetooth when you talk on your phone. But anyway, short video. What's kind of important here is when you're putting in these panels here, remember, because there's dirt and water that can get on this side right down here. So what I did is I took some of this heavy mill plastic, it's pretty thick, and I've got the entire back of this panel glued with this right here, and then of course the speaker holes are cut out. But very important with speaker holes, I put myself a little fold over top of it so the water can't drop directly onto the speakers, because remember, that's technically outside the car, everything behind this panel. But basically I picked up one of my wood carvings. I do these out of chainsaws, and I hope you're not offended by this, but this is the lady out of about a 70-year-old pine tree, and pretty tall. I'm 6'2", 6'3", depending on what convenience store I'm coming out of. And I just picked this up again. It was sitting in an art gallery for a while, and hence the question why I have a whole bunch of chainsaws back there. Anyway, I like to carve and then do the chainsaw art thing. Anyway, that's it. Take care. Bye-bye. Until the next video. Cheers. Roger here. All right, hey, a little outtake on the end. I know I'm doing wiring today, so I'm going to show you how I actually make solderless terminals, soldered terminals. So Harbor Freight, Home Depot, Amazon.de sells you these little packs of stuff right here. They're just solderless terminals. And what I do is I make them soldered terminals. So what I've done here is I've measured the inside. This is going to be my jumper wire that runs from my bass amplifier to my main amplifier, which is a 4-channel Mac audio unit. And what that basically does is when you cut your head unit on, it cuts on off your amplifier. So not the right or the wrong way to do it, just the way I've been doing it for the last probably 20 years or even longer than that, getting kind of old. So take this thing right here and cut exactly what you need as far as terminating the end of it. And that's about right here. And then go to your little box of terminals here. Pick one out. Let's just pick this one right here. That's a good one. And the way I do this is I actually, I talk a little louder here, a couple of needle nose pliers and burn that little plastic piece off the end and pull it off. So I've got this little piece right here without the little red, yellow, pink, purple, whatever the color was on there. Now I take that piece that I just had right here. Before I do that though, I add my heat shrink. I always put heat shrink on everything. Lay this piece on here. Fumble it up in there. It's a nice tight fit. That's actually good. Looks like this right here. I don't know if that's too close or not, but then I go ahead and take a pair of vice grips, work on it a little bit, not crimping the crap out of it, but just make it a little flat, like that right there. Then I tin it one more time. Did actually take a soldering class about 35 years ago, precision soldering at Fort Gordon, Georgia. And what you have right there is just tinned up a little bit, so it will never ever come off of here. Nice and cool. Slide your heat shrink up there. Not the dangerous part, but something like this right here. Once you get your fingers out the way, because it'll actually move on you. Alright, so voila, I've actually got this thing done. It's not too hot, not too warm. And then I've got my little piece of wiring now that's going to go from left to right side in the Nomad, like I said earlier. So that's just the way I do it. That connection will never, ever, ever go bad. And you just screw it down on there, and that's the way I do my connections. Also for the speaker wires too. That's it. Take care. This will be an outtake on the end of the video number 3. Bye.